Raheem Mostert's going to be out of Thursday night's game due to an injury. And now we're looking at Jeff Wilson, Jaylen Wright as the next guys up. We did a video on Jeff Wilson. Check that in the archives. But now we got to talk about Jaylen Wright because we got to do a deep dive. We got to look at his entire profile, his athleticism, what he did in college, what he could potentially do on the field, and everything else. But before we do this deep dive, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're doing deep dives like this every day. Whenever a player comes up, he's trending, he might play, he might not play, he's falling down the board, he's sucking, he's doing good, whatever. We're going to try and do a deep dive on him so you can make the best sound decision for yourself by going over the metrics, what we see on tape, and everything else. We help you with the waiver wire every day. We use these videos to help you set your lineups. Click that button right there. Stop missing out. But Raheem Mostert is out. DeVon Achane might be out as well. But right now I'm practicing. It looks like he's moving around good. So I don't know if he's going to be in or not. But things look probable. Let's just say that. Things are looking probable. And DeVon Achane got the work. 10 rushing attempts, but a lot of work in the passing game. As the Dolphins start off behind against the Jaguars, Raheem Mostert got some work, but it was a little bit lower than expected. But the Dolphins were also starting the game behind, so it's not like they're going to slow down the pace and run the football either. So if you're thinking about this, maybe the ancillary, the second running back or third running back needs the Dolphins to be ahead for them to get more carries. Jeff Wilson got most of his workload in the fourth quarter. He was clutch. He should be deserving touches due to how clutch he was in the fourth quarter. But we're talking about Jaylen Wright today because he did not play in that game. He was a scratch, didn't get his opportunity, but more than likely, due to default, due to attrition, is going to do something or see the field or at least look at the field from the sidelines on Thursday. But going back to Tennessee, rushed for over 1,000 yards last year in the SEC level, 4 touchdowns, 10 touchdowns the year prior, and averaged 4.35 yards after contact per attempt, 43 missed tackles forced, 82 was his longest run, and we're going to talk about that here in a few minutes, and also had a run of 83 yards in 2022 because he's got a lot of pop in the step. He runs a 4.38 40-yard dash. He did that at the combine. He's electric, also jumped out of the building. He is a very dynamic athlete that if he gets any space, can house it on any given play. And if that happens, if that one play happens, his stock in fantasy football, dynasty, redraft, DFS, whatever it is, will go to the moon. Even if it's a 30-yard run, it will go to the moon. He fell to the 4th round, and his speed, though, is the name of the game. His athleticism, his ability to go between the tackles, grind it out a little bit. He's got the size to him. You see the thickness there. He can carry the load, good around the goal line, can get it done, but can hit 22.2 miles per hour on the field. Now look at the 40-yard dash times from the combine compared to DeVon Achane, teammate, Jahmyr Gibbs, Chase Brown, Keaton Mitchell. We're lighting it up. We're lighting it up against these guys. He's going to be on the fast-paced Dolphins offense whenever he gets his opportunity, if he gets his opportunity, because he's not the greatest running back of all time. We don't trust our vision. We don't trust our eyes. We don't always see the hole. We're not always great inside. We're not always great stacking cuts. We're not always great in the open field. But we can do it. It's just not consistent. We got to find a hole, but when we do, when we get to that second level, it's bang. And we're also on the Dolphins. We have DeVon Achane take off the steam. And all he has to do is just show up, make a few plays. He's going to get a little bit more opportunity. Then a little bit more opportunity. Kind of sounds like I was talking about somebody else like this last year. Kind of like a guy, Keaton Mitchell, blew up. Had a few good games, up and down. Kind of like the Will Fuller effect at wide receiver. Maybe that's what we're going to see with Jaylen Wright. But again, Jeff Wilson earned the touches in the fourth quarter. He was dependable. He's always been dependable. He was good between the tackles. He turned out the yards when the team needed it. He deserves touches to start things off with Mostert out. He deserves it. Probably at least going to get 5 or so. Probably at least going to get that. And then after that, really depends on how the game works. He's probably going to be in and out. Maybe a couple in the first half, couple in the second half. And if any of those projected touches go off, then he'll get more workload. Jaylen Wright for this game. You're just seeing if he hits the field. And then what that potentially looks like. Also, any given touch could be blast off. And if that happens, you want him on your bench as a stash. You're looking at what the Bills did to the running backs against the Arizona Cardinals. They stuffed Connor in the run game. They might do that again, but this is going to be a fun matchup. 48.5 over under. It should be electric. Wright might get his opportunity. He might get 3 carries. But if any of those carries see daylight and he finds it, it's going to be a long run. Maybe 20 yards, maybe 30, maybe 15. Maybe he houses it. But he has the potential to do so. He's electric. The Dolphins were playing from behind last week to start things off. That impacted the game flow. They had to throw it a little bit more. They had to use Mostert a little bit less and use Achane a little bit more because he's got more upside with the speed. They're playing behind. So if they get behind, those other running backs aren't really getting used too much. But if they get ahead, if they're in a position where they can churn it out, they're going to start weaving in those backup running backs. But if they're behind, from what we saw in this small sample last year, they're going to use Achane in the passing game. He's more explosive. He's more likely to hit the home run. That's what they're going to do. They're going to try and get back to fast court to really get back to the lead, get back to tying it up. That's what they're going to do. That's what they were doing with the personnel. That's what they were doing to Achane. And now when they feel comfortable, they'll start logging reps with the other running backs to take the load off Achane. And they want to use Achane when they really need him for those money touches. And that makes a lot of sense. So if they're ahead on Buffalo, Jeff Wilson's going to get touches. Jaylen Wright will sneak some opportunity. But if they got to play catch-up at all, you're going to see a lot of Achane if he's healthy on the field. More than likely it is from what we're hearing from practice. But if not, you're going to see Jaylen Wright get some touches. And if he gets some touches, maybe he gets used a little bit in the passing game. He didn't get used too much in the passing game over at Tennessee. But expect Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle to just suck up targets. Expect Jeff Wilson just to get a couple ho-hum targets. DeVon Achane will load up on targets, but if he's out, don't expect all that to get funneled to the other running backs. Jaylen Wright, though, is a wait-and-see type of play. He's a lottery ticket. You may not want that. You may have other lottery tickets that you're waiting to see, but you will see Thursday night what's it about. And if you're making a lot of lineups, maybe you throw him in a lineup or two since he's free. But if you need a running back lottery ticket, just to put on your bench, drop the shittiest wide receiver on your team. If you got a shitty wide receiver, then you can have him as a lottery ticket and you watch him. Drop that shitty wide receiver who's barely scoring fantasy points that you don't like. Get you a guy like Jaylen Wright. See what happens. The worst thing that happens, you drop him to the waiver wire. I'm not making any predictions. I'm saying what you need to do and how to play him. How to play him is as a lottery ticket. You watch and see what's happening with him. Watch the touches. Watch what he does in space. You watch the speed. You watch how explosive. That's what you need to do. You need to have him rostered. He needs to be rostered in your league right now. He should have been after draft day. He shouldn't have been on waivers due to this offense, due to how explosive he is. And I did not care if he wasn't playing in week 1. This is a long-term thing. It's not a bet. It's a long-term wait and see. And there's a few running backs in the league that are just long-term wait and sees. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. It's not a bet. It's a, hey, we're going to stash these players right here. We're going to hold on to them as long as possible. If they hit, then they go off, we got a league winner. If not, we're going to find another guy off waivers. A lot of people this time last year were asking me whether or not they should be dropping DeVon Achane. And then right after it, he hit and went off. You do not know when it's going to happen. You just don't know. Same thing with Blake Corum. You do not get FOMO. You do not get antsy over week 1, 2, and 3. You hold as long as possible. You stash and you hold, you hodl. And if you got to make a move to set your lineup, then you do it. But if you don't go chasing jabronis either. This is a jabroni waiver wire class after week 1. The waiver wire is not good. There's nothing really hot. Might as well go after lottery tickets for the long term or the top guys. The cheaper long-term options for the stash is what you really want to go for if you're not chasing lineups right now. So get those good stashes, hold them, see what happens, have a spot, 1 or 2 of them on your bench. Don't worry about it, because what you're going to do is fill that with a jabroni. He's only going to score you like 10 fantasy points anyways a week, and they're not really going to help you win any weeks anyways, because those 10 fantasy points are going to help you as much as 0 over the long term, week in and week out. So you might as well try and stash an upside play here and there. Make it a little bit different between every league you're in, and just play the market with that, and just try to do your best to hold them for the long term. But again, Thursday, watch his touches. Watch and see how he moves. See how he's working with the line of scrimmage. Watch his vision, because that is in question. I'm not here saying that he's a great running back. I'm saying that he's fast as fuck, and if he finds a hole, he's going to be gone, and if he can rack that up, he's going to rack up touches. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you on the next video.